Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cardinals Weekly. I'm Corey Miller.
And I'm Ahmad Hicks. It was a spicy week for the Cardinals that also brought in a lot of wins for them. So that leads us right to our first segment, which is leading off.
All right, so we've got to talk about the fireworks and the big hits, which were not hits at all, but hit by pitches from these last few games against the Phillies. Let's set the scene. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're a Cardinals fan, you've probably already seen what happens. Genesis Cabrera into Game 3, sixth inning, I believe, against the Phillies. Tie game. We know he can be a little bit wild. We've seen it before, but he's really effective, and he's been one of the Cardinals' best relievers this year and last year. First pitch out of the game, hits Bryce Harper in the face. Really scary. I mean, usually at least glances off something before it hits somebody. This hit Harper pretty much straight in the nose. He was bleeding a little bit. It was scary. They ended up taking him to a hospital. Everything was all right, thankfully. Then the second pitch, he hits Didi Gregorius in the ribs, and he was visibly upset. You could tell he didn't try and do it. He had to stay in the game because of the three-batter minimum, even though he clearly didn't have it. And, of course, he gives up the go-ahead single to Andrew McCutchen. I mean, it set off just a firestorm of firestorms, and Joe Girardi got thrown out of the game. He was yelling at Cabrera on the mound. Mike Schilt was yelling back. It was just kind of an ugly scene.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand the Joe Girardi aspect of it because I get you have to defend your team in that situation, but it's not like this guy had a reason or a motive to go out there and just be throwing at your players. Like, it's baseball. Like, everybody has off nights, and that was just Hennessy's off night, unfortunately, and he hit a couple of batters. But yeah, it was a lot of unwarranted stuff, I believe, after the fact, and especially this tweet that we saw from the analyst from MLB Insider, John Heyman. He said the Cardinals should send Genesis Cabrera to the minors. He didn't hit Harper or Gregorius on purpose, but he's not competent enough to be in the majors at this point. I mean, come on, man. It's not like this guy had one bad outing. Now we're talking about sending him down. Like, come on.
So, a couple things. If I was Joe Girardi, I probably would have been as upset because those are two of my best players, and you got to go out there. And the whole three-batter minimum rule really throws a wrench in everything here because Cabrera obviously didn't have it. Schilt wanted to get him out, but he couldn't because of the three-batter minimum. But everybody, it was John Heyman versus St. Louis media on Thursday morning on Twitter, which was kind of funny. I had a snarky little thing, and he tried coming back at me, and I just left it alone because everybody else had articulated the point better than I had. But the stats are this. Cabrera, in his career before that game where he hit the two guys in a row, he had hit 6 batters in 53 innings in the major leagues. That's 159 batters he faced. He only hit 6 of them. Coming into the game, he'd only hit 2 of the last 123 guys he had faced, according to STL Sports Page's Rob Raines, who also writes for us here at KSDK. So we know he can be wild, but it's not like he's out here headhunting guys and hitting guys that often. It was just a really bad night, and it was just an unfortunate situation.
It happens. And I think because it hit Bryce Harper in the face and because Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper, then it looks ridiculous because that's the headline for ESPN. That's on every social media site. That's a push alert everywhere because it's Bryce Harper. And we understand the magnitude of his name, but it was a baseball play. It's happened before. It'll probably happen again. It's baseball. You just move on from that.
So Cabrera just apologized like 5 different times after the game, saying how he didn't mean to do it. He's so sorry to Harper. Mike Schilt even said after the game on Thursday that Harper had reached out and texted Cabrera, "Hey, I know you didn't mean to do this on purpose. It's all right. It's all right. We can maybe chat sometime and everything will be cool," which I thought was really good because I think it needed it too. Let's listen a bit to Cabrera after Wednesday night's game.
So first of all, I'm very sorry for the entire situation. My prayers go out to Bryce Harper, and I really wish that he can get back to baseball activities rather sooner. So I want to start with that, and then second of all, the plan was just to come inside with the fastball. I wasn't feeling it that well, and it kind of like slipped upon release.
So that was after the whole incident occurred, and then on Thursday we weren't quite done with it yet, and I thought this was really stupid because I think it ended up costing the Phillies the game. In the ninth inning, they definitely intentionally hit Nolan Arenado, which Arenado was fine. Hey, you get it, you wear one after everything that happened the night before. Mike Schilt knew it was coming. But the Phillies did it in the ninth inning of a tied game. Tyler O'Neill made an out right behind Arenado. But then when it went to extra innings, O'Neill is the guy they get to put on base. And Tyler O'Neill's the fastest player on the Cardinals. And he ends up scoring and winning the game on a wild pitch that maybe a slower guy would. If Arenado would have ended up making the last out instead of them hitting him, I don't know if he scores on that play. So interesting decision by the Phillies to retaliate like that, but whatever.
You know, my parents call that karma. All right. You should have just left it alone. It is what it is. Leave it the day before. All right. Everybody had hashed it out. Harper had sent his text message. Cabrera had sent his. Everybody was good to go. But they're like, you know what? We're going to get him. They tried to make us pay for it. And then it ended up costing them. So, hey, you learn from it. Move on next time. But karma definitely bit them in the back.
Here's a little bit more of that context from Mike Schilt after Thursday's game.
Look, I thought about how to best answer this. I think everyone handled this situation the entire last couple of days fairly appropriately. Could have gotten really ugly. We could have had some really ugly things take place on the field following an incident that everybody regretted last night. The next pitch by Gregarious. Once that happens, there's no absolutes in this game, right? There's still some unwritten rules in baseball. We knew there was a possibility of retaliation today, and you could have think about it in two different thoughts. It wasn't intentional, but there's a thought where I can understand you want to stand up for your guys, and it's an older school baseball mentality, and our guys understood that was a possibility. To the point of handling it properly, no one handled it properly. Didn't like it. Understood it was a possibility. It's an eye for an eye, and Neris, I'm sure they'll deny it, and that's fine too. Understand that completely. That's smart actually, but he did it right. He took one shot and he got him fairly low. Thankfully, not a different story. We're probably having some issues if he gets hurt, and that's the risk of doing it. But it's old school baseball, and we didn't mean to hit a couple of their guys, but nonetheless, a couple of their guys got drilled pretty good, and so you can expect some retaliation, and it was done as clean as possible. And no one responded in an appropriate way. Said my piece out to the field to make sure he knew, which I'm confident he does know, has got his back, and we move on. And that's how the game polices itself, and that's why you didn't see this ugly, people going nuts skirmish. And that's and while we're on that vein, Bryce Harper sent over a nice text to Genesis Cabrera. And you want to talk about a first-class move. And look, the guy's an excellent player. He's got a trajectory that puts him in a pretty special place, after his career, which is still going to be a long one. But whoever's a fan of Bryce Harper, or whoever has children that are fans of Bryce Harper, support that guy, because that was what he sent over in a message day was completely a class act. And he wanted to make sure that Genesis knew that he was aware it was unintentional, and that if he needed to talk and make sure he was okay with mentally about what took place, that he was free to, have the conversation with him. But he had empathy for the guy that hit him.
So this wasn't the first time the Cardinals have had it didn't develop into a scuffle, but kind of a little tension there with the team. Them and the Reds went back and forth, of course, on opening weekend. And then when another player from the Reds got hit over this past weekend, actually, and the Reds manager, David Bell, got ejected. So Cardinals kind of getting into it with teams so far this year, Ahmad.
They're playing with a little chippiness. It's what you expect from them, and that's what you want to see from them. Honestly, you don't want to see them back down from anybody. And although their record is not as good as we all hoped it to be thus far in this season, they're not backing down. And I think that's what you want to see, because a lot of us, I mean, baseball writers all over the place, fans, analysts, we're all saying it's all about the Padres, the Dodgers, like coming out of the NL and all that stuff. But the Cardinals are like, hey, we're still here. Like, you got to go through us, and it's going to be a tough time going through them at Busch Stadium. So it's fun to think about.
Let's move on to, let's leave the drama behind a little bit. Talk about the rotation, which is why the Cardinals have been so good over the last week. 6-4 in their last 10 games. If the offense would have showed up, it would have been a lot better than that. Since April 19th, that's kind of the date when things started moving. That was when Jack Flaherty started. Since then, here's the numbers from their top 5 guys. Flaherty, we'll talk about a couple guys here, and then we'll get you in and go back and forth here. Flaherty, 13 innings pitched, 2.08 ERA and 11 strikeouts, wins in both of his starts since April 19th. They like scoring for him, but he's been really good.
Really, though.
Adam Wainwright, 16 innings pitched, 1.69 ERA. He's lost both of his starts that he's pitched in, and he pitched even better. 18 strikeouts, had that complete game against the Phillies that the Cardinals lost. The first time they had lost a complete game from a starter since Wainwright did it. I think it was in 2007. The Cardinals lost both of his starts by 1 run, but, man, I don't think people were that concerned about Adam Wainwright after the first couple outings, but he's really turned it around here lately.
I mean, Adam Wainwright was fine during the spring, and everybody thought that he was going to be A-OK, but we were all raving about how he was in midseason form. So I think you've kind of grown accustomed to these hiccups from Waino. They come, here and there, whether it's just one bad inning that cost him or 2 batters that he let get away, So Waino will be Waino. He'll be fine. It's a reason that the Cardinals re-signed him.
Carlos Martinez, man. I mean, you never know what this guy's going to give you. But, yeah, the tsunami is back, if you ask him. 13 in the third innings pitched since April 19th, 1.35 ERA, 7 strikeouts, opposing batting average of 130. They're only 1-1 in those starts. They lost that game in Washington. But, man, he was good here at home the last time he started. His first win as a starter since 2018. I mean, fans have given this guy a lot of grief, and he's deserved it a lot of the time. But if he can pitch like that, I don't think anybody was really counting on him being that good. So that could be a big shot in the arm.
We need to be riding this way for sure. This guy plays with a lot of fire, intensity. And I think, like with Yachty back there, knowing that these are some of his final seasons, he's like, that's his brother. He has to give it his all. And I think he also wants to prove something to Cardinals management, that he's no reliever. He's a starter. Give him an opportunity to pitch when it's hot outside, and he'll try and make numbers happen. And that's what he did the other night, put up some big numbers.
So John Gant, the number 5 starter, who nobody really thought about being in the rotation at all this year, especially if you thought it was going to be kick him or Ponce out. I think most people would have said Gant, but Ponce didn't perform, and Gant has. He's only had 1 start since April 19th when this stretch kind of started. 6 innings, no runs, 8 strikeouts. Cardinals won, most importantly. I mean, the hair is flowing. Everything's going good for Johnny Gant right now.
Yeah, I'm loving the cornrows too. That's a vibe right there. Yeah, I feel him. He had some cool points for me right there. He had some flavor out there. But no, I think what you're seeing right there is another guy who's seizing the moment. All right, this is a guy who's always wanted to be in that starting lineup. Last year, he got put in that relief role, and we really got burned out, early in the season. I think this is a guy who's basically saying, like, look, if you give me the opportunity, I'm going to step up to the plate. And right now, he's taking it, by the bull by the horns, and he's not looking back. He's like, look, I know Michaelis is trying to come back, and he's probably itching to get back in this rotation. But he's like, while I'm here, I'm going to put my foot down, do what I have to do, and give the Cardinals a good problem to have, which is too many good arms in the rotation, which means it helps out the bullpen, or you have somebody ready to go in case of an injury. So it's a good problem to have if you're Mike Schill.
That will be interesting if Michaelis works his way back and they got to decide here, because Kwang Young Kim, he's not going anywhere either. Just a run in each of his past 2 starts, at least 5 innings each, no walks. He was really good on Thursday too. I love watching him pitch. He might be my favorite guy to watch pitch. He's just a lot of fun. And you can tell he loves baseball too. So I love watching KK pitch. Ahmad, is this the real Cardinals rotation we should expect going forward? Because coming into the year, you get Nolan Arenado, you think the offense is going to be better, but you don't think you're going to be outslugging people. This was always a team built on good pitching and good defense. Do you think this is the rotation we see going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, these are not Garrett Coles or Noah Syndergaards or, like the Jacob DeGroms or anything like that. But these are starting pitchers in the major leagues, and they're really good starting pitchers. And they're starting pitchers that I think any organization will love to put in their starting rotation. So I think this is the lineup that we had envisioned before the season. We all expected them to be able to pitch 6 innings or later, not give up more than 2 or 3 runs. And if you do that on paper, you give this team a chance, especially with the bullpen that you have, a reliable one at that this early in the season. And you like to think with Goldschmidt, with Arenado, with Tyler O'Neill and all those guys, we can score some runs. And so if those guys do what they have to do, and these the starters, like they have been doing the past couple of weeks, go 6 or 7 innings, don't give up more than 2 earned runs, you have a chance to win every single night. And that's what we've been witnessing. And I think that's what we should get accustomed to here for the rest of the year, the low scoring games and all.
So before all the on-the-field fireworks and impressive rotation stretch, the biggest news this past week, Cardinals are going to be without Yadi for at least a little while after placed on the 10-day IL with a foot tendon strain. You could tell in that game against the Reds, he just turned his foot over, aggravated a little more. They tried playing him eventually a couple games later. I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that. I think knowing Yadi, he probably talked his way into that one.
That's him. That's
Yeah.
Yachty. Like, look, I'm not sitting down. What do you what? What?
Yeah.
Move along. And then they probably had to tell him, you have no choice. Sit your butt down.
Molina was leading the team in average doubles, second in homers, pretty much leading him in everything when he went out hurt, which just stinks because to see a guy at that stage in his career having the best start to a season he's ever had was pretty special. But some good news, the Cardinals have a guy ready to step in who looks more than ready to step in Andrew Knizner.
Yeah, Andrew Knizner is the guy that I tweeted last year that he's going to be special. He has a knack for making plays beyond the plate. Some of those plays that we saw Yachty make when he was young, back in the day in his early beginning days. And I think Knizner has a gift. He shows that he's mature. He can call a game. He can make those tough plays, and he can also step up to the plate and deliver. He almost had a home run just a couple of games ago. So I think this is a guy with more reps becomes a bigger threat for the Cardinals. And I think with him, it's all a matter of getting reps, getting ABs, and getting innings behind the plate. And that's kind of hard to come by when you have Yadi or Molina on your team. So I think Andrew Knizner is just chomping at the bit right now. He's just like, I'm getting more and more comfortable. And he knows that he kind of has to calm down because, like, I'm sure he just wants to go out there and just crush it, and take over right away, which is probably will force some errors. But I think for him, he just has to calm down, let things come to him and just realize that Yadi will be back, but the Cardinals will be, relying on him to deliver when his time is called.
Knizner, 300 average so far on the season, 730 OPS. He always seems to be in the mix here these last few games. Well behind the plate. He went first to home on, I think it was just a double. You're not going to see Yadi or Molina do that. Knizner bringing a little bit of everything, and I'm glad he's getting. You never want to see Yadi hurt, of course, especially with the start he had. But they had shipped Carson Kelly out of town. He's having a great start to his season with the Diamondbacks. I was worried it might happen to Knizner too because Molina looks immortal, like he's going to play forever. But at the very least, Knizner's jacking that stock up so they can maybe sell him off for more when they eventually have to when Molina plays till he's 50. So we'll see how that goes.
And it's important that you said that because we were probably looking at a situation where if he doesn't play this year and Yadi is healthy and plays 140 plus, this guy is probably not going to be around for too much longer. So like you said, I think these reps were vital for his improvement and just for us, and, to have somebody to rely on when Yadi's gone.
He's a great soundbite too, so Knizner good for the St. Louis media as well. Let's talk about one last thing in our leading off news segment. Got to close it out with Alex Reyes because 12 and a third innings so far through Thursday pitch. No runs still, goose egg, 14 strikeouts, 6 saves. It's been a little interesting at times. He's got some walks, and every once in a while he comes into the game and you're thinking, okay, this guy's a little bit wild tonight. But, oh, my God, that stuff is just nasty, man. That 12-6 curveball, I don't know how anybody hits that. He is filthy.
He finds a way to just calm down and lock in every time you see him step out there. He's a guy that has a lot of that intensity that we talked about earlier. Like you saw it the other one night when he got in the jam. The bases were loaded, and he got out of it, and he was like pumped up, yelling and stuff like that. That's what you want to see, And I think this is a guy who's like, man, look, everybody's talking about how good I am right now and this start that I have. And he's like, man, I've been this good. Like, we all know I've been this good. Like, I just couldn't get over the injury bug. And he's like, this is what I've been trying to show everyone for all these years. And I think he's just a guy that's just relishing in the opportunity. He's just like, look, I mean, relishing in the moment. He really, is one of those guys you just can't help but to root for. He's been through so much in his career, and to see him doing so well right now, and like you alluded to, his stuff is filthy. You don't know what's coming, and I love just his confidence. He's up there and he's like, I'm battling you, I'm not afraid of you, and I'm going straight at you.
I said, I don't remember, it was either our first or second episode of these, that by the end of the year, he'd be their best pitcher. He might already be there now. That's a guy, I've tweeted this out. I don't want to miss a single inning he pitches this year because, yeah, I know. Well, they say they want to get him to 100. I don't know how they're going to do that out of the bullpen, but so far, so good.
So for our Red Hots, usually Ahmad and I go kind of head-to-head on a topic that we both feel strongly about in two directions. We're going to talk about the extra innings rule this week because the Cardinals finally played an extra innings game. We both hate it. I'll try to take baseball's side a little bit here about why they maybe wanted to do this. I can't say it isn't exciting. It's definitely exciting. The Cardinals, they've only had one of these games. Thursday was an exciting game. But around the league, there's been quite a few of these kind of games. And it has made for some exciting moments and instant excitement, right? Because no matter right when you take the mound, there's a chance to take the lead or win the game in extra innings. So I kind of like that part of it. But just from a baseball purist standpoint, I just can't stand it. And if I was the Phillies on Thursday losing, I would have been kind of sick to my stomach to get hosed in the particular way they did because nobody got a hit. The Cardinals won in extra innings, and nobody got a hit because they started with a really fast runner on second base, got him over to third. There was a wild pitch, and the game is over.
Right.
So it is exciting, and for I guess a casual fan, it's maybe good. They think it speeds up the ending of games, but I'm a guy who would sit there and watch a 5-hour baseball game if I had to. So I guess it's good from that point, but I don't know, man. Tear it to shreds now. So
and like you said, I'm a fan of speeding up the game, but I think it's an absolutely just horrific rule because if you look at it, okay, you have a runner on second base and you have a guy at the plate, 0 outs. Guy hits into a routine ground ball to second base or shortstop, whatever the case may be. Runner advances. Now you have a guy in scoring. Well, he was already in scoring position, but now you have him one sac fly away from being the go-ahead run or the walk-off run. I absolutely hate it because then you're in a situation where your pitcher did what he was supposed to do. He got a runner out. It's 1 out and nobody on, but now you have somebody on with that rule. So that's why I hate it. I absolutely did.
It feels like it cheapens like the rest of the game. Like you fought that hard and then it's ended that way.
And then if you get a guy, say for instance like us, you get Alex Reyes coming out the bullpen for the other team. We'll just use our guys as an example. But who wants to see him? Like if the Cardinals just got a run, at the bottom of the inning, now they have to come close it out or whatever. Who wants to score? That'll be a walk-off. We're talking about, if they're on the road now. But who wants to see Alex Reyes come in, and shut you down in 3 innings, 3 pitches, 3 at bats, excuse me. He got me all worked up. I just hate this rule. It just takes away from the game.
Reyes got 3 outs and only faced 2 batters because Cardinals had a double play with Carlson throwing him out at third. So yeah, it kind of cheapens the rest of the game. Now, I just prefer normal extra inning rules. They play till 21 innings if they have to because I like weird baseball things, and that's a really weird baseball thing. But what do you think about
baseball? Has been around forever.
Keep it Pioneer League. I think I might have the league wrong, but one of the lower levels is going to experiment with home run derby and extra innings to decide a game. What do you think about that?
What is this? ESPN ratings? Like, is this what we're trying to do? Like, I don't get it. This is not baseball. Like, this is not softball. This is not the All-Star weekend. This is baseball. Like, I understand you want to drive ratings up, but look at the Cardinals ratings every year. I mean, we're doing quite fine. All right. So keep baseball how it is. We like traditional baseball. You don't tell your kids in little league baseball or high school baseball when you go to extra innings, let's have a home run derby and decide the winner. Like, no, you play extra innings. Like, what? Stop changing so much stuff. Like, everything is changing in every sport nowadays.
Now, I would definitely hate this if it came to the major leagues, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I wouldn't watch this if I had access to it, because it's got to be definitely entertaining to see how.
I mean, but think about us, though. Okay, in our instance, say, okay, you got Bryce Harper, Nolan Arenado going toe to toe, or Goldschmidt. I love our chances, but I do not want to see a home run derby with Bryce Harper on the other team. Like, when we could just be having, Alex Reyes or Jordan Hicks coming out the bullpen and shutting somebody down. I would much rather watch those two guys.
You're gonna have your batting coach come out and flip
exactly.
I don't even know how it's gonna work, but
I'm sure the ratings would go through. But the ratings, everybody would just be rooting for extra innings and would just tune in, at the third hour of the game. And for our final segment of the night, we have to talk about the sports knowledge and that brain that Corey has and all the memories that he has stored up. So now we're going to try and stump Corey. All right. So we try and always let him, build some momentum up. We start with kind of an easy question. So the first question that we're going to start with tonight, before coming to Cardinals, the team was called what?
They went by a couple names. They started off, their very first name was the Brown Stockings, I believe. Is that what you're looking for?
Yep, that's exactly what I was looking for right there. Look at that. All right. Okay. Now we're going to maybe take it to another level. There was only one Cardinal to win multiple MVP awards in the 20th century. His name was?
The 20th century. So Albert won multiple in the 21st century. The 20th century, the easy answer is Musial. Gibson only won one MVP, I believe, in '68. But you said they're supposed to get progressively harder, so Stan Musial seems like it would be a bit too obvious. Keith Hernandez won one. Roy McGee won one. I don't know if there was an MVP award yet when Roger Scoresby was out there putting up numbers.
You covered all the bases right there. And you're right. You got it right. You said everything else that were there for distractions. That's why I picked that one, because there was so much else going on. No, it was not. It was Stan DeMay. He was the only one, but everyone else.
Yeah, I thought you were
Gibson won one, and Hornsby won 2 Triple Crowns during that time.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think they were handing out MVP awards yet when Hornsby was still playing. So I would have gone with Musial. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Cardinals Weekly. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, a little less drama in the Cardinals world. We'll see you then.